Hello, welcome to the stream. That's my new intro music or new intro timer. It was pretty exciting. I was playing around with that just now, and I thought, I felt like I needed something more than just a blank timer. So if you missed that, you can go back and watch it. It was very exciting. I spent a little while on it. More than I should have. Good morning, folks. Thank you for being here. I was a little worried. I was like, oh my God, did I forget to make this public again like I did yesterday? And I did 20 minutes of a video and then realized, oh, this is why nobody's here, because I forgot to tell anyone. I kind of forgot to tell anyone more than 10 minutes advance in this one, but still, we're getting better. Getting better. Let's see. Let's go to some news. So actually, this is not they changed the story. Interesting. So originally, this story was updated 15 minutes ago, and they changed the main headline. So OpenAI hits more than 1 million paid business users. That's interesting. So 1 million people are paying $20 a month. I think that's the cost that everybody's paying. So $20 million a month that they're bringing in. I can't remember what the figures are for just the hardware. I seem to remember just to like turn the power on as something like $1 or $2 million a month, and that was maybe a year ago, and it's probably a lot more than that. So let's say $5 million a month just to turn on the power. And then you got people. I don't know if there's a lot of people working there, but there's some people involved. Probably not millions of dollars a month, but still some pretty well-paid people there. And so yeah, I would say that's they're doing pretty well. But the original title of this article was about the fact that they were discussing $2,000 a month subscription prices. Now, it's not clear whether that's that's where they'll start. I doubt it. But maybe there'll be kind of an enterprise level that talks about $2,000 a month, and maybe it's $2,000 a month for the first 50 employees or 100 employees, and then it's $1,000 for each additional group. But it would make sense to it for what they're offering. $20 is pretty cheap. I mean, maybe for a lot of people that's expensive, but I think anywhere I've worked at, you get more kind of higher quality customers that are able to use the product, get their stuff done, and actually use less support by raising the prices. You'll get rid of the lower, more customer support intensive customers by raising the prices. And I've seen that everywhere I've been. So I wouldn't be surprised if they raise even the regular subscriber cost to like $40 a month or $50 a month or something like that. Would kind of make sense. But anyway, so they're looking at other ways of, charging more. I mean, that would definitely result in fewer customers, but maybe the cost of, I don't know. I could see it going up. Anyway. Let's see. I thought this was interesting. So this is from IEEE Spectrum. Just talking about how models can be used to create puzzles. And these researchers at NYU were looking at the Connections game. Now, I don't know if you've played. No. I don't know if you've played Connections. I have. We subscribe to the Times. I think we're we're going to cancel the Times this month, just because $30 a month for a newspaper. I mean, we love the Times. We want to support the Times. They're probably the more balanced kind of news, one of the more balanced news sources in the U.S. There's a lot of really sketchy things out there, but they play both sides, and but they've also got these great games, and the cooking is the recipes app is really great. But still, $30 a month is a little crazy to be paying. And so we're switching over to using Apple News Plus because, well, I get it free because I think it comes free because we got the iPad Pro just 2 months ago. So I get like 3 months of that. So we'll try it out, see if we like it, maybe move on to, there's another one we've heard of. I don't know if it gives you actually the access to the news, ground news, which is another option. There's a few options that are like this. I think there's another one like 1790 or some 4-digit number. But what's neat about this one is that it shows you news stories and really shows you how do each of these lean, whether they're more left-leaning or right-leaning. So you get a better view of not just one side's opinion of what actually happened. So anyway, this is a little bit of a tangent as is usual, because New York Times has this game called Connections. And the idea of Connections is you get this grid of 4 words or pairs of words. And you're looking for how they connect, how they are related. You're looking for 4 groups of things. And sometimes the words are not always obvious. It's not obvious how they fit together. So in this case, wonders of the world would be gardens, lighthouse, pyramid, and temple. And participate in summer Olympic events. You can box, you can dive, you can fence, you can row. Sparkling things, there are diamonds, glitter, gold, sequins, and ice cream, ice cube, ice machine, ice storm. And sometimes you see a few words that are actually seem to be like a 5th category, except there's one word missing from that 5th category. And it's kind of this bogus category that was added by the, all my notes are gone. I have to figure out why that's happening. I'm logged into the same account for Memex, but I don't know, something's weird. But anyway, so these researchers were seeing, can they use a model like GPT-4 to create an engaging puzzle like this Connections? And they found out it's really hard to do. It's hard to get, to give, as soon as you put in all the rules, the ChatGPT has a tendency to forget a lot of the rules. So if you have a lot of rules in your prompt, it kind of misses the stuff in the middle, which we've seen plenty of times before in other models. As the context size gets bigger, it remembers a lot of the stuff at the beginning and end. Sometimes it forgets the stuff at the beginning because the context is just not big enough. But even when it's big enough, it often forgets a lot of the stuff in the middle. And these researchers were finding that with, listing out the 20 or 30 rules of the puzzle, and then they'd realize, there was another rule they forgot to add. But it would just forget all this. The more rules we added, the more GPT seemed to ignore them. And so what they ended up finding was that they had to break it down into smaller pieces. And I think all of us who have used these different models realize that, just throwing a huge task at it sometimes works. We've seen some stories about Cursor being able to create a full application, but those applications tend to be kind of simple and not, big enterprisey kind of applications. And as soon as you try to do things that are more complex, Cursor breaks down and Aider breaks down and all these other tools that try to do really complex things, they just can't do it. They need to have a smaller chunk of stuff to do. And so as a human, we can break that down into smaller pieces. And so they found that they start with one model that comes up with the word groups. And so kind of working backwards for here, maybe give me 4 words that deal with participate in Summer Olympic events. Give me 4 words that deal with, or maybe one task that just figures out all the groups. Sparkling things, wonder of the world, ice things, or whatever else, pieces of furniture. And then for each of those topics, come up with 4 or 5 words that seem, or maybe 10 words that are in that group. And then what was the other thing? Next, an editor identifies connecting theme and edits categories. And finally, a human evaluator comes in and says, which are the best groups to use? And that resulted in some pretty good games. But yeah, so it was, I think they were identifying stuff that most of us, I think we know this. We've experienced this. We know we can't give the model too much. And the idea of AGI being here tomorrow when we still can't figure out this kind of stuff seems a little crazy. And I still stick with my my thought that AGI, whatever that means, yes, it will come. I saw one thing showing it was related to Safe Superintelligence, that new company that got $1 billion. As showing, it was a chart showing who is closest to AGI, and OpenAI was top. And I would say, at the moment, that's true. If OpenAI is still around in 10 or 15 years, maybe they'll achieve it. But 10 or 15 years, I mean, I don't see the AGI, whatever that is, happening before that time. And so there's a lot of maybe it's Safe Superintelligence that comes up with it, or somebody else that comes up with it, somebody we haven't heard of, somebody who is still in, elementary school right now might come up with it. And but it's a decade away. If I want to create a puzzle with a shades of green category, I'd be able to limit it to the shades I know. I would be limited to the shades I know. GPT told me about Celadon, a shade I didn't know about. To me, that kind of sounds like the name of a dinosaur. I could ask GPT for 10 dinosaurs with names ending in Don for a tricky follow-up group. So that's one thing the game tries to do is it has words that look like they'd fit in a different sometimes the category, you have 4 words that fit in the category, and there's a 5th word that seems like it might fit in that category. And then you spend a bit of time trying to figure out which is the most likely one to go in that category, and then you realize that's part of a different category. So I've lost a lot of time. The one I'm playing now is on News Plus, and where you're creating words out of 4 groups of letters. And that's similar idea, but different. It's almost a little bit of, what's the other New York Times game where you're finding words, trying to spell, you've got like 6 letters around like in a circle and another letter in the middle, and you're trying to create words that all include that letter in the middle. It feels like a combination of that and this, and it's taking a lot of my time as well. All right, let's move on to this story about, at first I didn't understand this. FBI busts musicians' elaborate AI-powered $10 million streaming royalty heist. Because at first, you see the top. On Wednesday, federal prosecutors charged a North Carolina musician with defrauding streaming services of $10 million through an elaborate scheme involving AI. Michael Smith, 52, a year younger than me, allegedly used AI to create hundreds of thousands of fake songs by non-existent bands, then streamed them using bots to collect royalties from platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. And at first, I'm like, okay, So what? It's not until you get that last sentence, using bots, streamed using bots. That's the key. Everything else, like, okay, he did something that should be totally legal. You should be able to create however you want to create songs, whether you create them because you're creative or you use AI to create those songs and you put them on a platform like Spotify or Apple Music or Amazon Music. Great. A bunch of people have done this. Heller, Harold Heller, or something, Stephen Heller, or something like that, has a company called Streambeats, and Streambeats. The idea is that he's a musician before, so he created some songs, and then Harris Heller, that's the guy's name. He created a bunch of songs, and then he hired other people to create songs and spent a lot of money creating these songs that he then put up on his account on Spotify and a bunch of other places. And they are free to use. You can use them in any way you want. I think any way you want. Any way you want. Have it playing in the background for your stream, or have it in your videos. No problem. You can use it any way you like. But each time it gets played on Spotify, so if you're playing it in the background on your stream, then every play, you don't pay for, but Spotify or whoever pays him, a fraction of a penny for each play. And that adds up into potentially a lot of money. And so that's what I thought this was. Like, okay, so he used AI to create the music. So what? What's the problem here? The problem is down below, he created he developed software to play his AI-generated music on repeat from various computers, mimicking individual listeners from different locations. In an industry where success is measured by digital listens, his catalog racked up billions of streams. So they focus on this fabricated catalog. Well, everybody's catalog is a fabricated, they create these songs. They're kind of indicating that AI created songs are less than, they're just songs. If you like that, if that's the kind of music you want to hear, great. That's not the story. The story is the fact that he, and again, it continues creating these, the bad part is creating these AI created artists and songs. Who cares about that part? It's the fact that he created these bots to play the song over and over again. Is that illegal, or is that just a breach of terms of service? I don't know. But it is interesting, and it turns out it adds up to a lot of money. He could stream his song 661,000 times a day, potentially earning $3,000 a day and up to $1.2 million annually. And the idea is that this is potentially wire fraud. I think it is the, what was the, wire fraud, money laundering? I don't know, maybe. The only person he harmed was the executives, and they made him pay hard. He did what they do already, just as an outsider. I don't know, maybe. I mean, it's, I see the, I mean, if you, they should rewrite the article to actually be what it's about. It's about these bots that are being used. Is this something that federal court should, that the federal prosecutors should be involved with, or is it rather that Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon Music should be suing him? I don't understand why why federal prosecutors are involved in this one. But yeah, it's I could see doing all the parts apart from the bot streaming the music. That's where things get potentially sketchy. But yeah, so it's a stupid article that missed the main point. All right. And then there's this, Bill Gates has a new Netflix series called What's Next? The Future with Bill Gates. There's also another AI special on TV with Oprah. Winfrey TV. Coming up in the next few days, I feel like. AI and the Future of Us, an Oprah Winfrey special. I'm not sure why Oprah Winfrey is the chosen, other than maybe she just wanted to do it. But she managed to get a bunch of people together, including Bill Gates and Sam Altman. I mean, I guess she's a name, so she's able to get these pretty important people. And Marquez Brownlee, okay. Yeah. So anyway, there's that show that's coming up on, what did I see, on the 12th? And then there's this other one, this Netflix show with Bill Gates, talk about, what's the topic? The future. So I mean, I think it could be pretty interesting. He's a pretty interesting guy. He's filled with interesting facts. I remember my time with Bill, where I was, I shared a door frame. I posted that video here on my channel, where I shared a door frame with Bill, me and Bill together for the entire Nisqually earthquake back in 2001. And then we spent time together with all the people that were running the event, about 10 of us backstage, while he just rattled off facts about natural disasters over the last few hundred years that he just knows. And I've been in the room with him for executive briefings as well, when I was part of the Linux Compete. I did Linux Compete at Microsoft. How do we destroy Linux? Which obviously didn't go as well as we thought at the time. Yeah, I mean, he would, I've never seen somebody who could look at a presentation filled with 1,000 different numbers on a single slide, and then see slide after slide after slide and wonder, how did one number connect with another number that was 7 slides back, and they were off by a few pennies, and why was that the case? I always remember that, and people leaving the room crying because they were just so stressed, and then thrown a question that was so hard that it was super stressful. But anyway, it looks like an interesting, it's a shorter interview with Bill, and how to use ChatGPT. What do you think OpenAI's investment in, or Microsoft's investment in OpenAI? What's that like? How about AI's use of power? How is that going to, how do we solve that problem? And he's thinking that even an extreme view, increase from AI data centers might only add 10% to the power grid. And a lot of that can be made up with nuclear power. He's very excited about nuclear power, which I think, yes, we've got a lot of people in the US who they just remember 3 Mile Island and Fukushima and all these older designs that will definitely cause problems, but there's much newer possibilities. And hopefully at some point we'll cool down and be able to take advantage of nuclear power in a big way. But anyway, so interesting article. Let's see, what else do we have? I don't really have any other news other than this looked interesting. Laminar. It is saying they're trying to be like a DataDog, except a tiny portion of DataDog. I mean, to say it's an open source DataDog is a bit much. It's just like 1, maybe 2%, 3% of what DataDog is, but focused on AI, and looks like focused specifically on OpenAI, maybe a few others, maybe Claude as well. But if your application that you're building involves those hosted platforms, then maybe this is a tool to understand what are the bottlenecks in your code. It could be interesting. It'd be great to see The docs aren't really that detailed, but it does take in OpenTelemetry objects, and there are a number of OpenTelemetry services that look at AI models. Ollama doesn't expose much yet. Hopefully they will at some point expose more stuff around monitoring. But yeah, I thought this could. There's a few other services that have popped up in the last few days or weeks about AI monitoring and tracing and identifying the problems in. Oh, I just noticed that my blinds are open. Close those. A little better color on me. Okay, I got some questions. Matt Williams, question here for when you are answering them. When querying an LLM via CLI and a file is passed for description, for example, JPEG, Ollama run, is that image stored anywhere? So all the model is getting is a path name. Does Ollama run when you do it that way? I don't know. I know originally, I don't know how Ollama run with Lava docs. Let's see. Tutorials? No. I know when you use the API with a Lava model, then you need to provide it the base64 encoded image. Does the CLI allow you to just pass the image as a path to the image? I don't know if that... Are you saying that works? I mean, I just haven't done it in a long time. Lava. Let's go back. It does work. Okay. And I get what I need. I just want to know if the image is stored anywhere. I wouldn't imagine so. I wouldn't. I mean, the only place that Ollama ever writes to is going to be in that .ollama directory off of the user's root. And so if it does get written I mean, I would imagine that all it's doing is reading in the file, does the base64 encode on it, and then hands that off to the model. And then that file is just in memory, and it just dumps the memory. So I don't know that for certain though, but that is my guess. Yeah. It's referencing encoding, but not embedding the actual file. Well, it is taking that image. It is base64. I mean, the model only understands that base64 encoded image. So you need to get into that format that can then be passed on the prompt. And so it needs to do that conversion. And then it doesn't need it anymore. The downside is that once it's done that, I mean, that encode or that base64 encoding process, I mean, it takes a little bit of time, maybe not much, depending on how big the image is. But each time you do that, it's going to have to re-encode that. And so the best way would be, I mean, if you're going to do the same image a bunch of times, the best way would be to base64 encode it at the command prompt, and then add that to your prompt, I think. In a way, you don't have to keep re-encoding. But I haven't done it in a long time. Let's see, what else do we got? Anyway, Laminar. And then the only other thing was I saw that these guys they raised $5 million to build open source agents. Not sure. Oh, okay, so it's a seed funding round. So looking for. They've got an idea. They're trying to validate the idea, seeing if that idea is going to work. $5 million for it. Probably doesn't say how much of a valuation, but maybe it's a valuation of 30 million, 20 million. I don't know if the valuations happen at seed rounds. But and maybe they get 10%, 20% for that. It was, so this is basically an open source version of Devin. So originally these three guys created, or at least some of them created, one of them saw the demo for Devin, which I think mostly turned out to be sort of bogus. But anyway, they saw that demo, thought that's really cool. Let's do it as an open source project, created Open Devin. They probably ran into some name problems. So now it's called Open Hands. And as a way to build applications. Another one of these cursor-like tools. It looks like they're trying to build their own code editor for it. But yeah, another group looking at solving this puzzle, which is always good. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got for news for today. About 30 minutes. Any thoughts? Any questions? Anything going on? Let's see if I've got anything going on. On the stream that I do with Ryan every Tuesday, he was really gung-ho about Sunny on Apple TV. I finally watched the first episode, and it's interesting. I still don't. It looks like there's more. It looks like it's definitely worth the second episode to watch. Maybe the third episode. Ryan was really into it, so we'll see. Every time I do that, I see the thumbs up happens. Maybe it's just a coincidence. In what YouTube sees. Great stream, by the way. I always miss them, but now you don't. You're here. What else is there? Oh, I didn't check my. Often I look at what's going on X or Twitter. I wish I could block this joker. Can I block him? Block Elon Musk. Is that going to have a bad effect? I don't know. Let's mute Elon Musk. Okay, so Yecoder. It looks like. Well, we already saw that Olama has that in there, so that's pretty cool. Let me go to I've got a list that I use. Where's my lists? Lists. Yeah, this Time 100 AI list, I saw it come up. It's like, okay, there's not. Are these the? I don't know if they were. My problem with that was that they were focused only on executives at big companies, and executives at big companies, and Marquez Brownlee, and there weren't any of the folks that were actually involved with creating these pretty influential models. it it was straight. I mean, I guess that makes sense that Time Magazine would focus on kind of more the business side of it, but I don't know. I wasn't that excited by it. I went through the list like, oh, okay, well, the usual, nothing special here. Let's see if anything. I feel like I get way too much stuff from this guy, Marco, but I don't want to get rid of it because sometimes they're interesting images, but I don't really care too much about the images. Maybe I just remove him from this list. Oh, this paradigm. Um, hmm, cool. I mentioned LangGraph JS stuff yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before. One thing I found interesting, in looking at my news feeds, uh, usually I post things about just topics I find interesting, and the next day, a lot of what I talk about on the stream shows up in bigger newspapers. Now, I don't want to say that they're watching me because there aren't that many people watching me, but it is interesting that if I talk about it, chances are it's going to be in a bigger paper tomorrow. Who knows? Coincidence. Reflection 70B, the world's top open source model, trained using reflection tuning, technique developed to enable LMs to fix their own mistakes, built with Glaive AI. 405B coming next week. We expect it to be the best model in the world. Of course you do. It'll be the best model in the world for 5 minutes until there's another best model in the world. Huge shout out to them. Okay. Cool. Looks interesting. Reflection. Any other comments, questions while I scan through looking for anything interesting? Yep, I'd like to be at a point where NVIDIA sends me laptops. I'm not there yet. You already look into Claude Dev from yesterday. It supports Olama. From yesterday, Claude Dev. What is it? Curious if Olama might consider some sort of distributed computing for model prompting. Maybe to have something like a farm of Raspberry Pis behind a Olama instance. I could see something, some organized way of doing a distributed. I don't know if it'll be. I mean, distributed for a single generation across multiple machines. It's just going to be super slow. There's no benefit to doing that. Even having two GPUs is slow. You really want to have one GPU where all the stuff happens on that one GPU, and spreading it off to two GPUs on the same machine that can talk to each other pretty quickly, that's going to be too slow for most cases. And moving that out to other machines, that's also not going to work. But if you had proxy with multiple Ollama servers on the back end, that could be interesting. And then this proxy just kind of manages who's talking to which machine. That kind of makes sense. I don't know if that is the role of Ollama to do. Maybe that'll be somebody else, you perhaps, can create. I mean, there's been a number of people that have tried to do things like that, where there's some sort of piece at the front as a proxy to lots of others. It's never very polished. And so it's something that they can use and be successful with, and they can tell other people how to use. But there's not been like a drop in and it just works, and you add more Llama servers and it just like identifies them all. That would be awesome. I doubt there's any. Raspberry Pi is a interesting toy to play with, but I don't think anybody seriously uses. I mean, they're just so computationally weak and expensive for what they do. I loved Raspberry Pis before. The fives have gotten so expensive for what they do when you can pay like $20 more and get a full Intel box. It's just, and I mean, even some of the Intel boxes, they're pretty small. And the Pi is just, I can no longer justify being excited about Pis. So, Claude Dev. Autonomous coding right in your IDE. So it looks like it's a VS Code plugin. It's focused first on using Claude, but you're saying that it also works with Ollama? So, okay, so it's using the OpenAI compatible API versus the native API. Unfortunate, but okay, I understand. Yeah, any OpenAI compatible API. So they're not specifically supporting Ollama, they're just supporting OpenAI compatible APIs. Ollama isn't fully compatible with OpenAI, so I guess some things aren't going to work. And then there's some things that Ollama does that this will never have access to. But I haven't seen it. It's the first time I've looking at it. Let me create a new note. Ideas from the stream. I should keep this. So. Oops. I found it when I was researching Cursor and came up with that this can do a lot of what Cursor also does. I don't know. I mean, Cursor, I thought Cursor's, the model that it has access to, the model that it's using, isn't just a ChatGPT, but something else that they're hosting that has that larger context size to be able to consume your entire code base. It's not as great as SuperMaven. SuperMaven has a much bigger context size and responds much faster, but that's why I use it most occasionally. Very inspiring post by Tim Chrisman. Yes. Yes. All right. Um, Anything else interesting in my Twitter? The processor from the Terminator. Replit agents. Vodo Drive. Love the intersection between LLMs and spreadsheets. Hilarious video as well. I don't know what Vodo. So this looks like Vodo Drive. Okay. Like what was the tool that we looked at just the other day? Yesterday. It was there was one from just yesterday. Today's the 5th. So it was it Paradigm? I think it might have been Paradigm. Looks like it. There's a bunch of these now. Build out your data sets. Let's see, we got anything else? Well, unless there's anything else, I'm probably gonna end it right about now. I need to work on some fine tuning with what? Oh, AI videos. That's pretty amazing. Weird. Racers popped out of nowhere. Yeah, nothing super exciting. Unsloth is in YC. Interesting. That's pretty cool. For the summer 24 batch. So we're nearly finishing up. Cool. I just saw somebody talk another video about Monte Carlo simulations for AI. All right. Well, I think I've kind of scrolled around for enough. You don't want to watch me do this. Ooh, that's pretty. Oh, that's cool. All of these are so fun. What was that model collapse? Hmm. All right. Let's get out of here. Let's how many people are still with me? 9 people still with me. I'm gonna switch to this view. Am I dark? I think I'm dark in here. Where's my phone? I don't know what did my phone. phone's not in here. Okay. Thanks so much for being here. I had fun. I got a different capture card coming. So right now my capture is done with this. Before I was using my ATEM Mini Extreme ISO, but I'm not really taking advantage of that. I should probably just get rid of it, sell it, or do something. Right now I'm on a Mirabox super cheap capture card, but I got a Elgato camera capture or capture cam something that'll do 4K 30. So I'll probably update this stream to also be able to do 4K because I think I can support it. And if I can't, I'll just, well, I think it should be able to support it. And I'm thinking, yeah, so that comes today and we'll play around with it. So maybe when you see the stream tomorrow, it'll be even clearer and more exciting. Because I mean, the original camera feed, I can't remember what the resolution is. X resolution. What is the native? The resolution I get out from this camera is 6,000 by 4,000. Wait, no, that's still images. Motion pictures, video. Here we go. See, those are wrong sizes. Come on, where's their MOV files? $58.88 by 3312. Yeah. I think that's the resolution I tend to, when I record to the SD card, I'll pull it off at that resolution, which is 5.7 5.7K, I think they call it. Anyway, to use Kagi. Kagi? I know that name. Why do I know that name? Is that a search engine? Oh, not that one. This guy? Kagi search? Search engine. Okay. No. I don't know anything about it. What's special about it? Oh, Kagi Assistant. Is it a client? Wait, this is. I don't understand what am I looking at? It's Orion browser by Kagi. They have pricing if you want to use their. Can you also host it yourself? We released an AI assistant yesterday, paid search engine. Really good search engine. So there was another search engine that I used that I paid for called Nevo, something like that. They lasted for a few months and then I think they got acquired by somebody else and killed the product. Somebody tried calling me. No, I don't know anything about him. Do you like him? calling me? Considering subscribing. Cool. Yeah, I don't know anything about them. So what are they charging? Starting 300 searches a month. Seems like, so 10 searches I guess 10 searches a day is what most people probably would use. But Assistant starts off at $25 a month. And if you do annually, that is $270 a year. Family. Huh. And then so I've heard a little bit about Orion, but I don't know. WebKit based, native on Mac, iPhone, and iPad. Looks kind of like Min as a browser, and supports Firefox and Chrome browser extensions. Interesting. I don't know anything about that either. Cool. Yeah, that's interesting. I think I've heard the name. And didn't there something like a cat like that name, but that does payments? I thought there was like another. Oh yeah, it was a e-commerce company. Didn't they do shareware. So if you had a shareware product and you wanted to sell it, you could go through Kagi or whatever to sell the license. Yeah, that's what I remembered as. Seems there's a few Kagi Tales from Kagi. Is this the same thing? Oh yeah, so same group. Did this a while back. So what URL is that on? Oh, okay, that's kagi.com. What's the pronunciation? How do I pronounce this? They raised 670,000. Basically, users paying. If you got there early, it was $10 a month for unlimited. Announcing the assistant. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this. I just know nothing about it. Cool, but thanks for sharing. All right, so it's been. How long are we at? 1 hour. So I think I'm gonna end it. Go back to my unsloth work. Are there any other comments that I missed? You have mentioned before that some folks have issue with video quality. Video works for me. Works Video for me works well, and it's HD. Yes, so my video quality was terrible. Ter- Terrible about a week ago. And it had been for, every time. I was kind of reluctant to do this stream because every time I did it, the video quality was just so bad. Just awful. In fact, let's do let's look at my YouTube video together. YouTube. I think if I go to tvl.st/y, I'll go to my channel. And let's go to a live episode from 2 months ago. It might be. Let's see, how's this one look? Look at that. Look how awful that is. I've got it muted, but that was the best I could get. And it was awful. That's me. So I don't even know if that's... what is this? It says it's 1920 by 1080, but it's not. It is... and sometimes it would come in a little bit sharper, but usually it would be just awful. And then sometimes it get a whole lot worse. Just awfulness. And that's because I was originally using StreamYard, because at DataDog, I was able to expense this. And it was just an easy way to start streaming, and lots of folks on the team liked it. But then I switched to, and the pricing wasn't bad. What's the, for business? No. Product. I don't see the pricing on here. Yeah, fine. I don't see pricing at all. I hate it when companies do this. How much do you want for it? No. Anyway, I was using that, and then I used Riverside. And it always flickers on this browser. But their pricing is also not that bad. I was paying monthly, so it was $29 plus the live studio. So it came to, $44 a month to be able to stream in 1080p. Although and when you get that, even at that plan with 1080p, then they would say, oh, well, it's not actually, even though we say it's 1080p, it's not actually 1080p. It's actually a little bit less, and you should be fine with that. Well, that's what I was paying for. And they do have some magical tools that do auto show notes, which were just incredible, as well as automatically figuring out the chapter markers. So that was awesome. I don't know if it's worth $44, and it was certainly annoying having this terrible video quality. And some days it would be better than others. And eventually, one thing that they do with Riverside is you're streaming, but you're also recording locally and sending that up to Riverside so that you'll be able to edit a higher quality version. And that recording can be up to 4K. And so if you disable you let it continue recording, but then upload only after your stream is done, then it was a lot better, but it was still not great. And but because I'd always been using these tools ever since I moved here, I thought, well, it's obviously because my internet connection is so bad. And that's the problem. And so even if I try, so I can't use OBS or Ecamm or any of these other tools because my internet connection is so bad. And then I kept looking into it. I was like, it's not that bad, but it could be it. Why else would it? Other people are able to stream and do high resolution. Why can't I? And at some point, I just thought, okay, let me just use Ecamm. The reason I like Ecamm versus OBS is just around being able to invite other guests without having to use Zoom, or I think they might have a solution too, but I just wanted something super easy, and Ecamm is just easier to work with than OBS. And so I started, because I'd used OBS in the past, but I downloaded it and tried it, and it's like, oh my God, it's the quality is it's fine streaming even from over my what I thought was terrible internet. It's doing this 1920 by 1080, and it says I've plenty bandwidth even to do. I could stream to like 5 locations, and be fine. So my internet is not a problem. I was panicked about that, but not panicked, but so internet's fine. And I'd like to go to the better capture card, which will allow me to do 4K, I think, because a camera can support it, so it'd be great to be able to stream that. And yeah, so that's why video quality sometimes comes up. It's great now. It's gorgeous now, but upstream I have it's somewhat variable. I have my only option. There's really 2 options I can get here. There's what used to be Quest, is now called something else. I can't remember the current name for that company. But with that connection, I get is like ridiculously low. It's almost embarrassing that they offer it as an option. It was like 1 megabit download and less upload. So that's not even worth looking at. And then my only other option is Xfinity, Comcast, and that's 1 gigabit down. And their 1 gigabit download is a 35 megabit upload, 35 to 40 megabit upload. And I wish it was bidirectional. When I had Verizon, what's their fiber, FiOS, I think it's called, in Boston, we had 1 gigabit down, 1 gigabit up, and it was gorgeous. It was, so good. Xfinity is the best I can get. There is fiber from Kitsap County Public Utility District, and they will bring the fiber to your house, but you got to pay for the cost to bring it to your house. It is about 300 yards. The endpoint is about 300 yards away from my house. It's getting closer and closer. So hopefully soon it'll get here and I don't have to pay for installing it. But if I pay to install it, I have to pay that last 300 yards or so is about, I think the quote they gave me was about $30,000 to $40,000, and I don't want to pay $30,000 to $40,000 to get a faster connection. And then then the $100 a month or something like that. So it would bring our costs way down because we could get rid of Comcast. And then Comcast, you kind of want both because Comcast sometimes goes out. Like most of the island, I live on Bainbridge Island, most of the island will just lose their connection when Comcast goes out. And I thought that fiber was going to be the more reliable one. But then 2 weeks ago, fiber went out for everyone. So you kind of like want both. But then there's Starlink, I think. The Tesla, not Tesla, but is it whoever does? I mean, it's a Elon Musk thing. And but the upload's not that good. And the download's not that great either. 300 megabit download, and then maybe 10 or 20, but that should be good enough for streaming. But is it reliable? It seems to be pretty expensive. So I have cable. Yeah, that was the long answer to that question. So it's cable. I had 200/50, but during the day upstream was around 5. Now I'm at 100/40 with VDSL with a solid 40. Yeah, I had when I lived in before this, before we bought this house on Bay Bridge Island, we lived in Boston, an area called Pondside, and there we had Verizon FiOS, and that was gigabit up, gigabit down. Before that, I lived in an apartment block in Boston called Church Park, and there I think that we had like, it was whatever the apartment block supported. I don't remember it being that important to me. And before that, I was living in Amsterdam, and I think I had DSL, and it was something like 400 or 500 bidirectional, and that was great. That was all that I needed. That was super cheap, like 50 euros, 60 euros, something like that. It was, oh, that's the dream. European, whatever, main European pricing. Oh, so good. It was like it was a company that doesn't actually have any equipment. They just resell KPN, which is the Dutch phone network. You grew up in Cambridge long, long ago. Ah, cool. Yeah, so we lived in JP for 5 years. Before that, we lived in, for a while, about 2 years, I lived with my girlfriend at the time, now wife, in her apartment, and that was in Charlestown, right by the monument, across the street from the training field. So I loved that. And then before that was Church Park, right across the street from the Christian Science Cathedral. And then before that, I was living in Amsterdam. All right. I think I said I was going to stop this. I'm going to stop. I think were sort of my words. So I'm going to stop. And thanks everyone for being here for this stream. It was fun. And I will be back tomorrow. Unless there's a no news day. Everybody stop working worldwide. No work on AI stuff. And then I won't have to stream. But I don't think that it's going to happen. Okay, have a great evening. Have a great day. Whatever you are. And see you later. Bye. Finish. Stop. End.